Man is insatiable with knowledge, and that is why man continues to seek and to search. But we know that God has given to man what is necessary. And because man always seeks to know new things, man is not satisfied with what he has seen. The scriptures have laid down, God has given by inspiration what is necessary. And because man always is enticed by new discoveries or new knowledge, man continues to remain insatiable. And because of that, he has made many people, false prophets, to come up and teach contrary things which the Bible does not say. Because these people have capitalized on the fact that man is always enticed by new knowledge. Man is always taken aback by new discoveries. Man is always taken aback by new things that are revealed. And so these false people have come about, some of them to contradict what the Bible says. Some of them to refuse what the revelations have been laid down. Some of them to discredit what the Bible have said. Some of them to say things that the Bible did not say. And some of them to even fight against the God of the Bible. And so with all of these things, we find ourselves in a world where people keep going ahead to bring up new things. We find ourselves in a world where false prophets keep on challenging the authorities of God. We find ourselves in a world where false prophets keep on coming up with new knowledge, and some of them even claim to have direct revelation from God. One of such is this teaching that goes around that says Adam was not the first man. Now, we know from the Bible that the Bible is complete. And we know also that God has revealed everything that is necessary for us that pertains to godliness and a faithful life. He has given us everything. Now, if God wanted us to know more, God will reveal it to us. If God wanted us to get more, to understand more, He will not fail to reveal to us. But because God knows that what He has given to us is okay, He has given us that. Now, we are going to look at it. Some of these false prophets, what they do is to entice their listeners. Some of them, because they know man is always carried around. This is the same thing that happened in Acts chapter 19. When Paul went around, when he was teaching, they came around to listen. Not because they were moved or they were convinced by what he was saying, but because they always wanted to hear new things. And so they came around. So that is what man has found out, that man is always enticed by. And so man always brings this new knowledge. And so today we want to share this fact, this teaching going around, that Adam was not the first man. Let's go to what the Bible says. First, for any man to say that Adam was not the first man, that will be making the records of God invalid. Of course, we know our God cannot be invalid. God cannot give us, God cannot reveal to us records that are not valid. God, we all accept that the Bible is inspired, and God gave the inspiration to these men who wrote the scriptures. And if there was any other man before Adam, we are sure, and the Bible tells us that God would have revealed it to us. But let's go to the book of Job, chapter 38, verse 4 to 11. In this passage, God is asking Job a question. He said, where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Were you there? Do you not know that let's go to the book of Job, chapter 38, verse 4. He's going to tell us. Verse 4, he says, where was thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou understands. Who had laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who has stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Verse 7, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. Now, God is asking Job a question. Where were you? Now, invariable. It means that there was no man before that. When God laid the foundation of the earth, God is telling Job, asking Job, where were you? Which means Job was not there. And if Job was not there, no other man was there when he laid the foundation of the earth. Now, this is what happened. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it tells us something. A passage that we know very well. It said, when the earth was created, all the angels were still in righteousness, and they were in harmony with God. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, it's another passage. He said, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now, when you go to verse 2, it tells us something. It says, and the earth was without form and void. Now, what does that mean? Following the earth's creation, something happened. The angels apparently occupied the earth. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1. Follow me carefully. When the earth was created, the angels were in good standing and harmony with God. And they apparently occupied the earth. In Jude verse 6, the earth was the habitation of the angels. I mean, the earth in Genesis 1:1 was the habitation of the angels. You know, angels are not physical beings. They are spiritual beings. You can't say an angel is a man or a woman. The Bible will tell us in several places. You know, the angel came to Zachariah, he came to Mary. It doesn't tell you it's a he or a she, it's a spirit. So, angels are spiritual beings. And so God created them. From what he created them, the Bible doesn't tell us. But God created them. And so the earth was their habitation. I mean, the earth in Genesis 1:1. And so something happened in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 13 to 14. Now, Lucifer at some point rebelled. And he ascended. He intended to ascend to heaven to be like God. And this is where the problem comes. Now, Lucifer rebels with a group of angels whom we call demons. We now call them demons because they have rebelled. And so as they rebelled, they want to ascend to heaven, and God struck them down. That is in Genesis 1 verse 2. Now it says, and the earth was without form and void. The earth had no form and no shape. Why? God is about to begin a reconstruction of the earth. And darkness was upon the face, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the earth. Now verse 3. And God said, let there be light. Now God begins a reconstruction of the earth. This is now the beginning. God created the earth. In the beginning, the earth was without form. God cannot make something that does not have form and shape. If we look through the Bible, everything that God created was good. But why does verse 2 of Genesis chapter 1 tells us the earth was without form and void? Shortly after verse 1, it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So the earth was the dwelling place of the angels, who were the sons of God, who were the morning stars, who sang to God. So they were not physical beings. They were spiritual beings. They sang. And that's why Job chapter 38 tells us, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? No man was there. And so now in verse 3, God is beginning, after the angels have rebelled, after Lucifer has rebelled with his group of angels, which they form demons. Don't forget that later on when Jesus comes to earth, these demons begins to inhabit people. They begins to enter people, and Jesus is casting them out because he has his power. It's this same serpent of old that is able to deceive Adam and Eve. And so in verse 3, God begins the reconstruction of the earth. He said, let there be light, and so on and so forth, and everything is established. And in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, this is the height of everything. After creating everything for his week, and he said, let us make man in our own image. For the first time, God is speaking, let us make man in our own image. This implies there had never been any man before. No man had ever been created before. Even in the book of Colossians chapter 1, it tells us that through him all things were created. So Jesus had been with God before. Yes, he is the Son of God. He is God. And they were all there together. And so they created all of these things. They created all the other beings. And so how they created them, from what material they created them, the Bible is not clear to us. So we leave that because the sacred things belongs to God. But Adam was the first person created in Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, when God said, let us make man in our own image, to have dominion over every other thing. And man was given the power over every other animal, over every other plant, and man dominated the earth. And he tells him, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. So, in a very simple term, in this first episode, no other man had been created before Adam. Yes, the earth was created in Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, and angels inhabited that space. But when the rebellion occurred, which was led by Lucifer according to Isaiah chapter 43, because he wanted to ascend to heaven to be like God, and together with his group of angels, whom we later call demons, God rebuked them. And then we now, in verse 2 of Genesis chapter 1, we now have the form of the earth, which is void and without form, because of the chaos and the confusion that has resulted because of the rebellion created by Lucifer. And so, later on, as God begins to reshape and reconstruct the earth, he now creates everything. Let there be light, and everything comes into space. And then he says, let us create man. This is the first time God is creating man, a physical being from the dust of the earth. And he says, inhabit the earth. And so, we want to submit in this first episode that no other man had ever existed. Even scientists have also said there were fossils. There have been evolution that shows that people existed on the earth before. They have never been able to prove it. The Bible remains the only authentic source. Adam has always been the first person on earth that was created, physical being. Even though angels were there, but they were spiritual beings. So no other man had ever existed on the earth. In our next episode, we will tell you more. Thank you so much for listening.